Getting into prepping, the rules of 3 and the 6 C's of survival. Good evening, everyone. As I'm making this video, we are currently having load shedding the first time in about 2 weeks. So unfortunately, with the World Cup coming to an end, we are back into the load shedding stuff. It just helps us to get into the spirit of survival and preparing. So yeah, here we go. So good evening, my name is Christo, and as I say, I'm from Getting Into Prepping. Today we're going to discuss the rules of 3, just to give us a background as to what the rules of 3 is and what it's all about, and then the 6 C's of survival. So first of all, we're going to start off with the rules of 3. The rules of 3 is a system that we use in the prepping community to determine or to help us determine our priorities of survival, and that will be discussed in our next video. So first of all, we're going to look at the rules of 3, starting off with 3 minutes without air. Then we're going to look at 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. That will be the starting point that we're going to be using. So 3 minutes without air. Basically, in this category, we're looking at anything that can that pose a life-threatening scenario to your life in an emergency situation. It can be something like a medical condition where there's bleeding, or for some reason you are unable to get air into your lungs. It can be a raging storm that is threatening your life, that might be posing a threat to you. It might be flooding. There's a flood in the vicinity and you need to get out of town quickly. It might be a veld fire. It might even be a criminal attack, public unrest, or even an active shooter in your area. So anything that poses a threat to your life that can end it in 3 minutes or less, that will be the 3 minutes without air principle that we will be referring to. Then we will be looking at 3 hours without shelter. We need shelter for a couple of reasons. The main reason would be due to weather conditions. In South Africa, we don't have a particularly extremely cold winter, so it will just to be there to assist us to maintain our body heat. In summer, it will be to avoid sunstroke and stuff like that, so that will be the use for that. So it is all weather related. Shelter will be dependent on the need for shelter will be dependent on the current weather condition. Then 3 days without water. Water will always be a priority in emergency situation. We all need water to survive. Without water, you will quickly dehydrate. So water will always be a priority, and it even take prevalence over food. As we will look into our next thing, we will understand exactly why. And we also need water for hygiene purposes. So that will be 3 days without water will be our third thing that we look at. And then the fourth one is 3 weeks without food. Even though we believe that food will always be a priority, it's not necessarily a priority, because we can, in extreme circumstances, be without food for 3 weeks. It's not advisable to take it that far. It might not be even practical to take it that far, but it is possible. So we can look at that as the fourth rule of 3. Then we're going to be looking at the 6 survival principles, or the survival C's. The reason for this is that it will also help us to determine the way that we look at our preparations. It is items. The 6 C's is 6 items, starting with C, that's going to be able to help you in an emergency situation to survive. It is probably the items that is most difficult to create in nature, or out of natural environments, and that is the reason why we actually want to carry this. It's also part of the rule of 3s, because if you look at the rule of 3s and the 6 survival priority, or 6 survival items, it will actually link up, and there will be some, it will be referred to in this video and in later videos, because that's where we're going to start off in the priorities of the survival. First of all, if we look at the life-threatening, the 3 minutes without air type of thing, it is the first word we're looking at is care. Now, with care, we are referring to medical care or any other care that can take care of a situation, let it be security, that type of thing. So if there's an active shooter and you've got the means to defend yourself, you need to defend yourself. So that will be part of the care package, but mainly the medical aspect of this will be looked at. The second C that we will be looking at is a cutting tool. A cutting tool, that if we look at cutting tools in general, it will be the knives, saws, axes, multi-tools. These items can be used in self-defense as well, as we referred to it previously. But it also can be used to build shelters, used for processing wood to make fire, and we'll be looking at different aspects as we go along in this video series. And then also used for getting and preparing food. You can use it for hunting and for actually preparing of the food, skinning animals, stuff like that. So that will be your cutting tools. The next C that we'll be looking at, the third C, will be combustion, which refers to fire. First of all, fire can be used in security as well, referring back to the 3 minutes without air. Anything that is a threat to you, it can be used for keeping animals away, stuff like that, to prevent hypothermia. In the event of it being a not so average winter night, you might use that to get yourself warm. It forms part of your shelter requirements, because building a fire will be part of your shelter and it will help you to be protected from the conditions. It can also help you with making water drinkable by boiling the water and preparing the water for that. And it will also obviously help you with the preparation of your food. The next one, the fourth one that we'll be looking at is cover. As we said, 3 hours without cover. The cover will help you with building a shelter. Stuff that we can look at here is an emergency blanket. Could be a poncho, stuff like that you can have with you and use to build a shelter. The advantage of having a element that you can use as shelter is that if you have to build for example, a dervish shelter, you can do it, but it's going to take, first of all, it's going to take a lot of time, which we don't have. It's going to take a lot of calories, which you don't want to spend. And of course, the main thing is that a shelter will be more productive and more watertight, more water resistant than a derby shelter. So that is the reason why we can do it. Part of your shelter is also your clothing. We will discuss that in future as well. And as I said, a poncho or an emergency blanket. But we will get to the specific subject on that a bit later on as well. Then the fifth one that we will be looking at, the fifth C, is a container. Obviously, you can use that container to carry water. You can use it to cook water. You can actually use it to cook your food or to prepare your food if you need it. A metal container will be prevalent because we would prefer to have a metal container to cook that over a fire. But you can, and we will also look at this a little bit later on, you can actually use a plastic bottle to carry water, to purify the water in with your tablets if you've got tablets, and you can actually boil water in a plastic container as well, but we will be doing that practically and showing you. Then the last one, the last C that we're going to be looking at is cordage. That's probably cordage or rope is probably the worst thing to make in nature. It takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of resources, a lot of time and energy to do it. And as we said, we do not want to spend time and energy on stuff that we don't need to. We want to have the stuff available and have it sorted out quicker. You can use your cordage or your rope to build a shelter. You can use it to gather water by, for example, taking a 2-liter bottle, tying it to it, and getting water out of a deep ravine or something like that where you will not be able to climb down. You can use it like that. Also, you can use it to trap animals, and like I said, you can use it for your shelter as well. So that will be the 5 or the 6 C's that we'll be looking at. The 6 C's being your cutting tool, your combustion tool or your fire kit, your cover, your container, your corage, and I'm missing one now, and then your care as well. So that will be the 6 C's that we will use. The combination of your 6 C's and your the rules of 3 will actually then give you an example or a guideline as to what your priorities is. And that is what we'll be looking at in the next video. So in the next video, we will specifically go into the different priorities, how to look at it, and actually build your kit or your survival equipment based on your priorities that you've got based on the rule of 3s and your 6 C's of survival. So this is what we're going to be using to carry on for the next couple of videos, so that we can actually look at the different priorities in detail. So yeah, once again, thank you for spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that the load shedding will lessen as we go along, as the government has promised us. But yeah, I'm not going to bank on that. I'll rather be prepared and have my stuff ready. And yeah, I hope that you also take this journey with me, and that you also prepare your stuff so that we can be better prepared. So with that said, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day or whatever the case might be. And looking forward to seeing you in the next video. And in the meantime, keep on prepping. Thank you.